So the main thing about 21 Pilots Law is that all of it is an allegory for mental health. It's all a metaphor. So when I explain the law, I'm also going to try and give you my interpretation of how, like, what it means in terms of the metaphor. But the other thing to note is that you can come up with your own interpretation of it. It's deliberately vague. Tyler likes to keep it that way. He likes people to be able to find their own meaning in his words and in his storyline. So just bear that in mind and kind of acknowledge that if you disagree with my interpretation, that's completely fine, because the music will mean different things to different people. It's gonna come down from my island in the sky. So, the lore is set in a city named Dima, and I can put a picture of that up on screen right now. So it's this kind of round city, and it's walled in, and it's split into 9 kind of districts or regions, and each sector is ruled over by a different bishop. These bishops are kind of like, they make up technically the government of Dima, but Dima is a theocracy. I think that's the term. But Dima is a theocracy, which is where the city is ruled not by like a neutral government, but like it's dominated completely by this religious body. So it's dominated completely by the bishops. There are 9 of these bishops. The head of them is called Blurryface, or Nico. His real name is Nicholas Bourbaki. And so each of these bishops kind of rules over a different district in Dima. So the bishops have these powers of psychokinesis, which is where they can possess dead bodies, dead vessels, and kind of use them as their own, like puppeteering. They can also sometimes possess live bodies through this method called smearing, but we'll get onto that later. So in order to keep their power, to make sure that they have enough vessels that they can use, the bishops enforce this religion called vialism, which glorifies suicide and encourages people to kill themselves, so that they can become a vessel for the bishops to use as their psychokinesis. And someone who's committed suicide in the name of vialism is called the Glorious Gone. That's the title they give them. And the Glorious Gone are buried beneath these neon gravestones out in the necropolis that surrounds Dima, which I will show where that is on screen now. In the middle of Dima are these 9 towers of silence, and these are based off real things. It's from one of the oldest monotheistic religions in the world. They used to like leave dead bodies and stuff out on top of the towers of silence, and then the vultures and the predatory birds would come along and eat them, or they decompose naturally, and that was how they dispose of the dead and stuff. So it's based on that idea, and each of the bishops, well, there's 9 towers because there's 9 bishops, and that's kind of the bishop's headquarters. So the thing about Dima is that it's a very lifeless city. It's like all the colour and all the joy has been drained out of life, and everyone is stuck to this kind of monotonous schedule of work, and the days are very predictable and very kind of unrewarding, and everything is just kind of grey and bleak. And obviously everyone's trapped and no one can escape. The main character, Clancy, his name is Clancy, obviously there's the album named after him. He starts to want to escape. He becomes a bit more conscious than the others. He starts to want to escape. and that is where the story begins. So Dima basically symbolises like depression and the kind of depression mindset you get in where everything's a fog and like you can't feel any joy and everything feels awful and you can't think straight, and it's just like a very self-destructive place. That's at least to me, that's what Dima symbolises. And Clancy wants to escape that, meaning he wants to get better, he wants to break out of the cycle of bad mental health. And yeah, he wants to get better. But the bishops symbolise your insecurities. Some people say that each bishop symbolises a different insecurity. I'm not entirely sure about that. The bishops do symbolise insecurity in general, and they're kind of keeping you trapped in that city. They're keeping you trapped in the bad mental health place. Okay, I need to get some flowers. I'm gonna make some pink tinted glass to go up here to kind of match everything else, but I don't remember where I could find flowers, so I'm gonna have a walk around. I think there was some to the left. Now, obviously Dima isn't the only place in this country. The continent is called Trench, and so is the place surrounding Dima. It's kind of very barren, very rocky, mountainous. It's called Trench. And there's an island called Voldsoi, which is across a strait of water called the Paladin Strait, and that's kind of what the general geography looks like. I'll put a photo of it up now. And there are rumours that there's a rebellion, a rebel group, and there are rumours that there's a rebel group living in Trench. These rebels are called the Banditos, and so one day Clancy tricks Nico, Blurryface, into driving him out of Dima in a car, and then the car gets set on fire and Clancy escapes, and he is looking for Banditos out in Trench. He wants to join them, he wants to escape Dima once and for all, but he can't find them, and he ends up just walking along the bottom of this dried up riverbed, kind of feeling hopeless, trying to look for the Banditos, and he still can't find them. And then Blurryface catches up to him riding on this white horse with his red cape like billowing out behind him. Flowers! I don't remember if this is the right kind of flowers. And Blurryface chases Clancy on his horse, and Clancy runs away, but Blurryface eventually catches up, and he possesses Clancy, even though he's alive, a living vessel, by smearing him, which is why he gets this kind of black substance on his hands, and he smears it around Clancy's neck, which is where, if you see Tyler performing on stage and he has kind of the black paint around his neck, that's where it comes from. So Blurryface possesses Clancy in this way using psychokinesis and forces him to follow him back to Dima. But then Clancy looks up and he suddenly sees the Banditos in their yellow bandanas and uniform lining the tops of the cliffs, peering over the dried up riverbed at him. And the Banditos throw down these yellow petals that fall around Clancy. And here's the thing, the bishops can't see the colours yellow or a specific shade of red, and so the colour yellow has become a symbol of hope, a symbol of defiance and rebellion. And so while Clancy's getting showered by these yellow petals, it gives him the strength to fight back against Blurryface's possession, and he breaks free. He makes a break for it. He tries to run again, but Nico catches up once more, and he takes Clancy back to Dima. So while Clancy's back in Dima, he's working with the Banditos, and with one member in particular called Torchbearer. who carries the torch while they all march and stuff. And Clancy is working with them to escape Dima, to break out. And so one night, while the bishops are performing this ritual involving the glowing neon tubes that make up the neon gravestones, and all 9 bishops are meeting in one of these towers of silence, the banditos make their move and they head through these underground tunnels and they escape Dima, and they take Clancy to their camp out in Trench, and Clancy gets his head shaved and they sing songs together, and he gets given his uniform and he's properly like initiated into the group. He becomes part of them. He becomes a proper bandito. But then Nico comes for him again, and Nico takes him away again. Because here's the thing, Clancy is like kind of cursed. He's trapped in an endless cycle, which means that every time he escapes Dima, Blurryface will find him and Blurryface will bring him back, just no matter what. And this symbolises like the cycle of relapse, the cycle of getting better again with your mental health and then relapsing and something else goes wrong and you have to start trying all over again. But the point is that Clancy never gives up hope, and Clancy never stops trying. So even though this time, when Clancy gets taken back to Dima, they lock him up, he still keeps trying. So they lock him up in this prison, and Clancy has kind of become this symbol of rebellion, the face of the rebellion within Dima by this point, because the people have started hearing about his exploits and all his escape attempts. Ooh, I have a silk touch pickaxe somewhere. That's going to be helpful. Okay. So the bishops realise how much power Clancy now has and how useful he could be to them, and so they start using him and forcing him to write propaganda songs and to give propaganda speeches to the people of Dima to keep them kind of sated, keep them pacified, stop them from wanting to rebel. Should I do my doors back to front? I can't tell. No, I think it's okay. So one day, the bishops have got Clancy to perform for kind of a meeting of important Dima officials and other bishops and stuff on board this kind of ship submarine thingy, this great gleaming submarine, like out in the middle of the ocean. It's all freezing and everything is covered in snow and ice. And Clancy is there and Torchbearer is with him. So Clancy is performing on the submarine. He's performing a song, another propaganda song for the bishops. But then suddenly this massive creature slams into the submarine and water rushes in and everyone's screaming, and Torchbearer and Clancy get washed away and they get washed out to sea. And what's happened is that not all of the bishops were bad. This one bishop named Keons, who was actually Clancy's bishop, who ruled over Clancy's district, he was a nice guy, and he betrayed the other bishops, and he used his powers of psychokinesis to possess the dead body of this dragon named Trash, who'd kind of been lying dormant under the ocean for years. And Trash is this big blue dragon with glowing yellow eyes, and so he rams Trash into the submarine to basically make everyone panic and drown and allow Clancy and Torchbearer to escape. And Clancy and Torchbearer wash up on the island of Voltsoy. So now they've been swept across the Paladin Strait, across Trench, and they're all the way out in Voltsoy. There's this remote little island, like scraps of greenery and beaches, and also with a population of creatures named Neds. These are kind of, they like remind me of Ewoks and sort of the role they play in the story. They're these adorable little creatures, kind of quite squat and with white fur, with stubby little horns and big black eyes, and they live on Voltsoy. And they kind of find Clancy and Torchbearer and take them into their caves, and they huddle around the campfires and live together for a bit. And then one of the elder Neds removes his own horns and gives it to Clancy as a gift. And these horns give Clancy the ability to do what no other person can do in Dina. They give him the power to use the bishop's psychokinesis, but for himself. So while Clancy and Torchbearer are still on Voltsoy, Clancy uses these psychokinesis powers, and he possesses the bodies of the Glorious Gone back in Dina, and he uses them to give anti-vialism and anti-bishop lectures, kind of building a support base of people who are willing to rebel against the bishops. And he also, honestly, hilariously, possesses the dead body of Keons. So the other bishops have found out about Keons' betrayal, and obviously they're pissed, and so they killed Keons. But Clancy possesses his dead body while he's in the middle of a ring of bishops, amongst these tubes, these glowing tubes, which are like the neon gravestones material. And Clancy possesses Keon's dead body and makes him dance, and he just vibes, and he really freaks the bishops out, and it's really, really funny, just this dead body suddenly breaking out into dance. It's great. Oh, I fell again. But jokes aside, they do need to get back to Trench, and they do need to meet up with the other banditos. So eventually they communicate with banditos via these torches and via light signals. So Clancy and Torchbearer sail back across the Paladin Strait, and they go and meet the banditos in Trench. What should I do now? It's not great, but so here's the crazy thing. When Clancy goes into Trench, he meets the other banditos, and he meets Torchbearer for the first time. But wait, wasn't Torchbearer with him this whole time? Apparently not. So it turns out that the Torchbearer who was with Clancy all along, was just a projection. He can send projections of himself to like guide people. His whole role is that he's kind of a guiding light for the banditos and for Clancy especially. So he sent this projection of himself to help Clancy, but Clancy didn't know this. So he realizes that the friend he thought he was traveling with all along was never real, and that's like crazy, and he's actually really hurt by that. Needs improvement. We'll continue that another day. So the Banditos launch their kind of full-scale attack on Dima, and they storm the city, and it's the Banditos, like the normal Banditos, fighting against an army of the Glorious Gone, who the bishops have raised up from their graves under the neon gravestones. Trying to get some more levels by killing mobs. Oh, there's a few. Not fan spiders. But while the other Banditos are fighting the Glorious Gone, Clancy is scaling the side of Blurryface's Tower of Silence. He gets up there and he finds Blurryface. Blurryface kind of levitates into the room menacingly, and Clancy is just alone in that tower, and his job is to bring down Blurryface and bring down Dima once and for all, and escape the cycle, escape his endless cycle of being recaptured, and escape the cycle of depression. He and Blurryface fight a bunch. It looks for a moment like Clancy's won, but then Blurryface stabs him with his own antlers that the Neds gave him. And that's pretty grim. Then Clancy throws him out a window. So Clancy gets rid of... Oh. While Blurryface has seized Clancy around the neck, you can see the black stains on Clancy's neck rising higher and higher and higher. And the bishops, they have this specific like face paint, face markings. So they have black paint all the way up to their eyes on their faces. And then the eyes are kind of cold and dead and wrinkled, like the dead body of a corpse. And as Blurryface holds Clancy by the neck, you can see the black stains creeping up his neck until he starts to look more and more like a bishop. And so, here's the thing, he does kill Blurryface, he does throw Nico out the window. But then Torchbearer arrives. Torchbearer is running up the tower stairs, trying to get to Clancy before it's too late. And he gets there, he finds Clancy. And Clancy has just won against Blurryface. But then Clancy turns around and he looks exactly like a bishop. And he takes some of the red curtains down from the window and he puts them over his shoulders, like the bishop's robes. And then some of the other Banditos come in, the more loyal Banditos, and Clancy offers them robes as well, and they take it one by one, and they become the new 9 bishops. And Clancy has beaten Blurryface, but become the new Blurryface himself in doing so. And Torchbearer is obviously devastated by this, because he really thought that this Clancy would be the one to break the cycle. But the Banditos will try again, Torchbearer will try again, and maybe next time, maybe next Clancy will be the one to break the cycle. You never know. A lot of people were like upset with the ending because there were some interpretations of it that saw it as like a negative, pessimistic ending of the law, with Clancy being defeated and basically saying you can never get better, you can never overcome your mental illness. But I don't think that's what it's saying, like, at all. I think what it's saying is that it's okay to have, like, ups and downs, it's okay to have good weeks and bad weeks and to relapse sometimes, but the important thing is that you keep trying to get better, because it kind of seems like Clancy maybe isn't a person, but rather a title, and so it doesn't, this particular Clancy might be dead, but Clancy kind of is symbolic of hope, and hope isn't dead, and the Bandages will just find another person to be their figurehead of hope, and they'll try again. And I think that's a really important message, is that what matters is that you're trying. It doesn't matter if you have some setbacks, it matters that you keep trying, despite those setbacks. So I personally really love the ending to the law. I think it's beautiful, and I think it's nice and ambiguous, so people can kind of take their own meaning from it, which I really